Deep within Masoala National Park, daybreak remains completely shrouded. The forest slowly stirs, hiding phantoms in the dense fog. The Madagascar rainforest awakens slowly beneath a heavy canopy. Vision pierces the gloom, calculating the journey ahead. The hunt begins before the sun can touch the leaves. Gravity is no obstacle for a specialized hunter. Every inhabitant must be wary of movement from above. This isolated island is a sanctuary for unique endemic species. The dense understory is an unforgiving maze. Among them moves a ghost, the formidable Fossa. It surveys the lower realm for any fleeting opportunities.
As an apex predator, its morning routine requires intense focus.
The slightest vibration triggers absolute stillness. But small scavengers are rarely worth the energy expenditure. It seeks much larger, more elusive prey. Its true domain is high above the ground. The ascent is incredibly fast and incredibly demanding. A beautiful but precarious highway stretches toward the sky. Built entirely for moving through this complex wooden architecture. Balance is everything when hunting 50 feet above ground. Semi-retractable claws grip the slick bark with absolute precision. A fresh scent mark left by a passing primate. The chase is now inevitable, guided entirely by smell. Its pace quickens as the prey's scent grows undeniably stronger. Up here, the environment becomes highly exposed and incredibly dangerous. Other raptors watch closely, respecting the agility of this hunter. Navigating this vertical ecosystem demands constant physical exertion. The long tail acts as an essential dynamic counterbalance. From this vantage point, nothing can escape its gaze. Movement must now be swift, silent, and incredibly decisive. Momentum carries it fluidly across the sprawling aerial pathways. It crosses deadly chasms without a single moment of hesitation. The immense landscape is both an arena and a prison. The Fossa is a true biomechanical marvel in motion. Its route occasionally forces it closer to the forest floor. A foraging falanook briefly catches the predator's sharp attention. Every sound is mapped and calculated in an instant. Deciding it is unworthy of pursuit, it moves steadily onward. Unmatched arboreal agility allows it to cross impossible gaps. The dense foliage offers both absolute cover and total blindness. It must rely on its senses to pierce the veil. It is a creature hardwired for sudden, explosive action. A potential target has finally been located nearby. An Indri alarm call suddenly shatters the quiet morning. Its stealth compromised, it must resort to raw speed. The chase demands pushing physical limits to the absolute brink. The canopy erupts into a desperate, high-stakes pursuit. Oxygen burns in its lungs as adrenaline completely takes over. But the nimble prey escapes, leaving the hunter entirely empty-handed.
In the Madagascar rainforest, failure is simply part of survival.
It must immediately clean itself to remain completely scentless. Recovery must be quick before the midday heat fully sets in. Its weapons require constant, meticulous maintenance to stay deadly. It seeks refuge in the cooler, lower strata of the jungle. As morning ends, the stifling tropical humidity becomes highly oppressive. The dense canopy traps the heat, creating a suffocating greenhouse. All inhabitants are forced to slow down and conserve energy. Rest is an absolute necessity during this punishing heat. The forest effectively shuts down, waiting for the temperature drop. Finding adequate shade is a vital daily challenge here. Even the largest predators below succumb to the midday exhaustion. Panting is the only effective way to prevent fatal overheating. The relentless humidity makes cooling down an arduous task. Exposing its belly helps catch any faint, passing breeze. Sleep overtakes the apex predator during the harshest hours. In the grand scale of Masawala, it appears surprisingly fragile. Smaller endemic species remain active, relying on supreme camouflage. Even in slumber, the hunter's mind continues the chase. But dehydration eventually forces it to wake and move. High in the canopy, epiphytic plants act as vital reservoirs. These tiny, suspended pools are absolute lifesavers during the heat. It shares this miniature watering hole with much smaller residents. Every precious drop helps restore its depleted energy reserves. Hydrated once more, it prepares for the long afternoon ahead. The atmosphere is completely stagnant, not a single leaf trembles. Above the oppressive canopy, scavengers patiently wait for failure. The forest seems completely void of any living targets. But true canopy hunting requires profound, calculated patience.
It must keep moving to increase the odds of a successful encounter.
The worst of the daily heat finally begins to break. Some endemic species remain safely tucked away until nightfall. Strength returns, and its movements become sharper, more calculated. Every muscle is perfectly tuned for this vertical environment. It aggressively reclaims the high canopy where it holds absolute advantage. The atmosphere begins to shift drastically as the afternoon progresses. Changing winds carry a wealth of fresh, vital information.
Time is running out. A meal must be secured soon.
Suddenly, a flicker of movement breaks the immense green wall. Instinct takes over, transforming it into a silent, flattened shadow. The afternoon hunt demands a completely different, methodical approach. Its elongated body slips through the tangled maze effortlessly. Lesser prey is entirely ignored. A bigger prize awaits. One misplaced step could ruin hours of meticulous tracking. From above, it holds the ultimate tactical advantage. Finally, the perfect target reveals itself in the branches below. A red-ruffed lemur, unaware of the impending danger. The distance must be closed before the final explosive strike. Every ounce of strength is focused on absolute stealth. The trap is set. Now, it only required patience. Canopy hunting demands a terrifying level of patience and discipline. It will wait for hours, if necessary, for the perfect opportunity. Every micro-movement of the prey is processed and calculated. The coiled muscles hold massive, terrifying, explosive potential. But the red-ruffed lemur is highly perceptive. Sensing a shift in the air, the primate abruptly relocates. The initial ambush window has closed. The stalk must continue. It shadows the prey, matching its pace exactly through the branches. Scent keeps the invisible tether firmly attached to the target. As afternoon fades, the environment prepares for the night shift. It must reclaim the high ground to launch a successful attack. It moves like a phantom, completely undetected by the surrounding forest. Every physical attribute is pushed toward this singular daily goal. The gap narrows. The predator is now within striking distance. One final assessment before unleashing total chaos in the canopy. Twilight descends, painting the Madagascar rainforest in beautiful, deceitful colors. This is the apex predator's absolute favorite time to hunt. The lemur finally realizes it is no longer alone. Adrenaline floods its system. There is no turning back now. The silence breaks, and the ultimate test of survival begins. The chase is a chaotic, high-speed plunge through the branches. It throws caution away, relying purely on instinct and reflex. Desperation fuels massive leaps that defy ordinary physics. The prey is incredibly agile, bouncing unpredictably through the dark. But the Fossa is a relentless, unstoppable biological machine. It corners the lemur onto a perilous, exposed lateral highway. The chase is reduced to a pure contest of raw speed. It clears obstacles effortlessly, never breaking its terrifying stride. Semi-retractable claws shred the bark, providing maximum necessary traction. It dives blindly into the foliage, trusting its immense agility. As darkness falls, the chaotic chase becomes incredibly dangerous. The forest erupts in panic as the hunter barrels through. Its long tail whips sharply to navigate the sudden turns. This dynamic counterbalance prevents fatal falls at such breakneck speeds. A near miss. The prey fights desperately for its life. The lemur reaches the end of the branch. It is cornered. The predator coils its muscles for the ultimate, decisive strike. Every ounce of its strength is channeled into the launch. In sheer panic, the lemur attempts an impossible, desperate leap. But the fossa does not hesitate to follow it into the void. A terrifying 30-foot leap, suspended high above the jungle floor. The impact is brutal, precise, and completely inescapable. Lethal jaws secure the prize amidst the chaotic falling foliage. Immense strength is required to arrest their combined falling weight.
The arduous survival journey finally yields a vital reward.
As night completely envelops Masuala, a new world awakens. Consuming the prey quickly is essential to avoid attracting scavengers. The scent of the kill inevitably attracts nocturnal attention. Even while feasting, an apex predator must remain ever vigilant.